Hi, this is Mark Molenhoff, your instructor for Math 188. I wanted to create a short video on some of the factoring problems that we've been working, and I want to point out actual aspects of the factoring that are in common. Okay, so let me select my pen here. I've actually got 4 problems I'm going to work for you, and like I said, I just want to point out the commonalities. So let's first look at a very simple factoring problem up here, the upper left version. Notice I have 2 terms. I'm trying to see if there's a common factor in those 2 terms. And you notice that hopefully you quickly see that there's an x squared. The common aspects of it are, notice that both terms have a common base of 6. One of their factors has a base of x. And you're actually factoring out the smallest, or the lowest, smallest exponent. So we're going to factor out an x squared. Okay, I'm going to open up a bracket. And if you remember, I said there's 2 terms. That means what's left over, I have to have 2 terms here in the bracket. So if I factor out an x squared, think of this as I'm actually x to the 4th divided by x squared. You're left with x squared. And then minus, in this case, it's very simply 16. And then once you complete that first step, you check and see, is there anything else I can factor? And sure enough, inside the bracket, we can break that up further. Hopefully you notice that this is a difference of perfect squares. X plus 4, x minus 4. And then finally checking one more time. No, all 3 factors are in their lowest. I can't factor anymore. So this is the solution. Let's move on here to the upper right, and notice a change. I've got 3 terms instead of 2, and I also have integer exponents. By the way, I notice an error, so let me fix this. This should be a 1/2. Let me go back. Okay, so 3 terms, we have fractional exponents. But all the comments I made over here on the simple factoring problem, you're going to use exactly the same over here on the upper right. And so I have 3 terms. All 3 of them have a factor that has a common base of x. So I'm going to factor out, pen again. I'm going to be consistent here. I'm going to factor out a common base of x. What's the number in the exponent? What's the smallest number up here? It's the minus 3/2. So that's what we're factoring out. Then I open up a bracket because I'm factoring. Since I started with 3 terms, I need to have 3 terms inside the bracket. So just remember, you're actually dividing all these terms by x to the minus 3/2. So you're left with 4. For the second term, plus 4 minus 1/2 minus a negative 3/2 is x. And then this last one, it's x, and it's 1/2 minus a minus 3/2, which is plus. 1/2 plus 3/2 is 4/2, which is 2. Okay, and you end up with, again, 3 terms in the bracket. That's very important because you have 3 terms in your original expression that you're factoring. Let's rewrite inside the bracket in decreasing order. So I'll do x squared plus 4x plus 4. That's probably now much more recognizable that I can factor that. So we have minus 3/2. And then x plus 2. I'd normally put another x plus 2. Since you have 2 of them, you need to say squared. And then ultimately, if you look at that, you're done. There's none of these factors are completely fully factored, so you can't factor them further. Okay, let's speed this up a little bit and go to more complicated. Again, the rules are going to be the same. I have 2 major terms here. It might actually be a little bit difficult to see. Term 1, term 2. What's in common? I have 2 bases. Their factors have 2 bases, an x minus 3 base and an x plus 4 base. So I'll have both when I factor them out. I have an x minus 3, I have an x plus 4. The question is, what's the exponent on the x minus 3? The smallest number is 1, so, or the implied 1. In the x plus 4, the smallest also is a 1, so that's what I'm factoring out. I'm going to open up a bracket. I have 2 terms in what I started with, so I need 2 terms in the bracket. Factoring out an x minus 3, they go away. Factoring out an x plus 4, I'm left with a remaining x plus 4 minus. On this second term, factor out an x minus 3, I'm left with one more x minus 3. If I factor out an x plus 4,